That's inside of us. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Murchison. I'm a licensed practitioner here at this spiritual community and a proud member. And I am not Reverend Karyl. Just want to, I'm kind of filling in for her as MC today. Reverend Karyl is down south speaking and making a beautiful noise down there in Southern California. And with us today, we actually have a wonderful guest speaker. But before we get into that, I just want to ask, is there anyone here who is brand new or here for the first time or is new-ish? And we're not going to embarrass you, but we have a little packet for you, a welcome packet for you. Anybody new? First-timers? Not today? Well, anyway, so welcome to each and every one of you who is here with us this morning. I want to call attention to our lovely altar this morning from Gailya, Magdalena. She is celebrating and highlighting the yellow and blue colors of the Ukraine this morning. And there's actually a quote on the altar from Corte: "Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now." And so with that, I want to welcome our lovely guest speaker this morning. So next week is actually her Sunday, and but today she is going to be speaking to us today. Our beloved Reverend Barbara Leger, who is the spiritual director and president and board and all kinds of titles with the Timanos Center for Self-Realization in the Ukraine. And so join me in welcoming Barbara Leger.
Hi, wonderful to be here with you. I love that song. Welcome to awaken that sleeping dream inside of us. That's sort of what the talk is about. It's about the dream that is waking up on the planet in civilization, about the world that works. And there's a couple things I want to say before I get into the talk. One is, I recently attended the World Parliament of Religions. It was in October. And I don't know how much you all have heard about it. I'm not going to talk much about it today because that's not the purpose. But I invite you, if you're interested in the possibility of the world working for all of us, through learning how to have it work amongst our religions and our spiritual teachings, I invite you to go to YouTube and just put up there World Parliament of Religions and just see the amazing good that is happening. The dream indeed has awakened, and it's now in our hands, in our court, so to say. I invite you today to visit our table, because next week we're having a Ukraine lunch with some of the usual things and lots of other new things. And so we invite you today to go visit one of the most wonderful, vivacious people I know, and that's Joe Hughes, who's going to be back there telling you about it and selling you tickets. And it's a really wonderful, inexpensive way to have a lot of fun next Sunday. And we're having a raffle, and some of the raffle items are displayed there, just to entice you. Also displayed there is a flyer about our upcoming 13th annual conference in Ukraine. Yeah. And also there's a flyer there about the Golden Rule, and I'm going to be speaking to that today. So, Centers for Spiritual Living has this theme, and we've had it for a while, but this year some of the leadership people in this community of ours, CSL, decided to make this theme available to all centers and invite all centers to participate in it. And they, I'm sure, are discovering the power in that decision. Something is emerging much bigger than what was originally envisioned. Just like when that sleeping dream awakens in your life. Something much bigger than what you think it's about often comes through and shows you really, in fact, what is it about. So when I went to Ukraine, you know, as you know, because I left from here, you are my branch, my perch. You are the people I come back to. I began through us. And so when I went there, I thought the dream was to bring the consciousness of peace and love there. That's what the dream was at that time. And for many of you who have traveled there with me, whether that's Rick or Brent or Bodie, anybody else here that's been there? Yes, thank you, Jet, of course. You understand that peace and love already lives there, just like it already lives everywhere. And the dream is for us to awaken it to ourselves. So this year, the overarching theme is the world that works for everyone. And I have added, and for all life, and a life that works for me too. Because if it doesn't work for me, then I'm not going to give to it. And if it doesn't work for all life, well, then that's just not fair. I'm not going to feel good about it. So it wants to work for all life. I had a great conversation this week with a former, well, I don't want to give away who it is, but anyway, someone who's well known from a long time ago from this community, who's not here anymore, because she lives in another part of the world. But she said, you know that title, The World That Works for Everyone, if you're not careful, it's just like a really great Band-Aid. You know, it's just like one of those nice trite things. Oh yeah, let's have a world that works for everyone. Let's see, what would that be? Yep, I'm for peace on earth. Yep, I'm for finding a cure to cancer. Yep, I'm for this, I'm for that. Good, I stand for that. And then we go on into our life. And she said, you know, what are you doing with that? And I said, it is working me. It is working me, because for it not to be just a trite saying, I have to really unpack this idea of the world that works for everyone. And what's my part in it? And I have to, you know, we have this new word out there in the world, the new, what is it called? It's not discussion. God, the word escapes me right now. Narrative. This narrative, which is really a new word for our story. And so the old story was the world doesn't work. You know, we all know, you know, there's always been war, there always will be. You have to protect yourself, you're never safe. I'm not enough, you know, the story. And if you look at the story on an individual level, we all have one. We have a narrative we've been telling ourselves for God knows how long, and it's just a lie. It's not the truth. Just like it's not the truth that there'll always be war, or that we'll never find a cure for cancer, or that we'll never be free to love who we want, or that we'll never have enough, or that there'll always be racial intolerance. Those things are lies. That is not the truth. But it's a story that we've told ourselves out of some sense of limitation that we have, some misinformation that we got somewhere along the line, and we wrapped ourselves in that. And you can see in our country today the result of how we've wrapped ourselves in these limiting ideas. Now, the temptation, of course, is to blame those people that are wrapping themselves in those limiting ideas and to wave the flag of the righteousness of the great idea that we have. And what happens when we do those things? I mean, I've done them. I used to march for peace. You know, I've burned my bra. I've worn work boots. I've did all that stuff, you know. And it was in an era when I was working against what didn't work. You know, that was just part of our evolution. So if we can be compassionate with ourselves, with that part of ourselves that resisted what didn't work, if we can be compassionate, we let ourselves evolve. And where are we today in society? The theme of the World Parliament of Religions was reclaiming the heart of humanity. Now, what a concept is that? And so it begs the question, What's the heart of my humanity? What's at the essence? What do I believe more than anything? How do I hold this humanity in my heart? So we teach in Science of Mind that it's always working, of course, and we say that. And in a way, of course, that's the highest spiritual truth and the biggest cop-out. Because then we can make excuses for the way it is. Well, it's working. They're doing the best they can. But it's true. They are doing the best they can, and so am I. But if I sit on that, like resting on my laurels with it, then I'm going to stay stuck with that smaller vision, and the dream that's trying to wake me up is never going to come forward. If I just keep saying, well, I'm doing the best I can, I'm trying. I've banished the word try from our Ukraine community. We do not say that word because it is just not a choice to try. You either do or you don't, or you ask for help. There's only three things. So our job in this day and age and in this movement is to imagine a world that can work for everyone. To imagine what would that look like. And do you know all the spiritual leaders are struggling with, well, how is that going to happen? Of course, we all remember we're not in charge of how. That's God's job. But what's our part? We have to give some direction to that infinite flow of possibility. For the law to work, it has to work through us. So what can we imagine is possible? What is your highest truth? Is it a cure for cancer? Is it peace on earth? Is it an end to hunger or homelessness? Is it that every animal has a loving place to be? Whatever is your vision of when the world really works, this is true. Well, just let that be the dream that's awakening in you, and imagine that as the reality. Create that in your mind's eye. Envision that. Look for where that works. So our job is to create a new narrative, a new mental equivalent, to use our words, a picture of a possibility that your neighbors might say you're just foolish to think about, but you're not. And, they told Copernicus that too, and Galileo, and Einstein, and Jesus Christ. There's a truth that needs to be known through you that I can't know, only you can know it. And our job is to know our truth and envision it and be willing to accept it, be willing to allow it somewhere else, to conceive of it and to receive it. That's our job. And if the world is going to work, it's going to be a collection of all of us getting there with ourselves, to allowing that part of the dream. It's not like, I don't believe, of course I could be wrong, I don't really know anything, but I don't believe that we're going to have this one awakened moment and everybody's going to think the same things and want the same stuff, and I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think that we're going to evolve based on ourselves, but honestly, this is the moment at the para. It's time. It's actually past. It's time. Now is the time. And, just saying the world works for everyone just as it is not going to get us there. So what's our part? So this week's topic is living in alignment with truth. So the highest truth that we have in this teaching is oneness. We all know how to say that. We all know how to check it off in our textbooks when we're reading it. We all know how to answer the questions on our tests. We're one with God. We're one with the source. That means we're all one with each other. It's one great thing. There's only one thing happening. It's God. It's love. It's purpose. It's life. It's beautiful. There's just one of us going on. And there's more. But then what happens when our neighbor's dog barks all day? Or our husband comes home drunk? Or our child gets a ticket for speeding again? Or we lose our job or our health or our relationship? Where's our oneness then? What happens to it? And this is the work. We have a year, my dear friends. This is the year for us to unpack this idea of the world that works so that we can do the restoration of our faith, that we can do the expansion of our consciousness so that we can see what wants to happen through me and what wants to happen through you. Scott's going to be a great minister. He got that idea as a dream. I don't know if he received it as easily as it fits him now. Most of our dreams don't. They come as something like this, and we go, oh, no, not yet. Tomorrow, when I have more time, when the kids are raised, when the dishes are done, when I have more money, when I've got a boyfriend, when I'm thinner, when I'm richer. You know, and then we never get there. So there's a wonderful phrase in Russian. It's tochka chota. It means a new point of beginning. This month is all about vision. Today's the last day about vision. We're going to move into something else next month. But I want to anchor this month that Reverend Karyl has done so masterfully with you really getting what is the dream, what is the vision of the dream of possibility that is yearning to be expressed, known as Jean, or known as Joe, or Bodie, or Catherine, or Jet, or Joe. What is your dream? And I want to just paint for you a picture of possibility in the next 8 minutes that I have that says, I'm with you. I believe in that dream for you. I believe in that dream. That is the dream. Troward said, my mind is a center of divine operation, and divine operation is always for expansion and greater expression of something that is brand new, has never come before, and proceeds out of it. That is our dream. The dream you have proceeds out of the life you've lived so far. But it is something brand new, and the world is waiting for that. You are the one that has that piece of the puzzle that allows the world to work for everyone. My piece of the puzzle is getting clearer. Reverend Kathy Hearn articulated this week's theme for the ministers. Each minister created a week. Mine is in September. I'll be over there. You can think of me. And she said, we see a world in which people live in alignment with their highest spiritual truth. That's the theme for this day. So we see a world. So that means we see. It's our experience. It goes through the filter of our glasses, of our what has gone before, in which we view the whole goings-on of the globe through that filter. We see a world in which people live in alignment, which means people stand for and uphold and are guided to be in integrity with, so they're in alignment with their highest spiritual truth. Now, nobody has a corner on that. Everybody has their own highest spiritual truth. There are concepts, and our job is to climb the spiral staircase of that concept through our life, to be present with it wherever we are in that journey, so that we know that this is the truth, and we use it to inform every step on that ladder. Every step, whether we're going forwards or backwards, we use our highest spiritual truth. So, like I said, I don't think we're going to wake up and we're all going to say, okay, we're all in peace, we love everybody, and it's all just going to be groovy. How I think it's going to be is that how it is for us individually. Look at how many of us there are, and each of us has our own way of expanding this narrative. And that's how the world is going to be. So what is it going to take? Well, I think it's going to take sufficient trust and respect of each other's journey. Sufficient willingness to see each other as we are, accepting them as we are, and using our version of the highest truth to guide us into practicing the golden rule with each other. So if your spiritual truth is, I live in abundance, and my spiritual truth is peace, And when you're sharing yours, I'm using mine to uphold you in that, to see you in that. And if we do this, we're elevating all of our spiritual truths and we're giving it to each other. And so what looks like, and right now, tomorrow is Iowa, and what looks like polarity in our world can often look bad. It's like there's them and us. There's so much of that in the world. People say, well, it's all going to hell. And there's no chance at heaven here. Look what we do, and we've been doing it for centuries. But what if, in fact, we just tweak that idea just a little bit, and we say instead, what if this polarity is actually the power to step into our differences and respond to it differently? What if instead, if I don't understand you, and you don't understand me, we practice what St. Francis said, seek to understand, not to be understood. Instead of trying to tell everybody how they should be and what they should know and what I know, and they should pay attention, and how I want to be right, and they could do it instead of all that stuff that just locks us into pain, what if instead we step into those conflicts in our life and we ask ourselves, using our highest spiritual truth, what really could be if I were practicing oneness right here? What could really be if I could practice the golden rule? How could I be in peace so that I can receive you where you are without judging you? What could I be so that I make space for you in my world as you are without blame? How can I hold you in the highest spiritual consciousness while you are doing something that hurts others? What can I know about you? That is, the prayer that Joyce did this morning was all about that. It was all about being in the highest state of consciousness as we go into our world. So, the golden rule is probably the best way I know to stay in this state of high truth. And it's easy. I mean, my 4-year-old knows it. My 4-year-old granddaughter knows it. You ask anybody, what's the golden rule? And so back there on the table is this flyer that's the golden rule is expressed in many different faiths. We all know it. Let's start there. So instead of whatever we've done up until now, why don't we give to the other person what we want them to give to us? I used to think that what we needed to give that would end war is we give our first child to the family of our enemy, and they give their first child to us. I mean, I think that's actually a good idea. I don't know too many people who want to do it. I don't know that I could do it, but I think it would work. I have this idea that what if we seek to give people what they want? In order to give you what you want, it may be that my teenager thinks they want to stay up till midnight. And I know that that's not healthy, but what if instead I seek to understand them, and what I discover through a process of questions and listening and observing that what they want is freedom to make decisions for themselves. They want more space from the family dynamic. What if that's what they want? If I'm willing to give them what they want and to listen and observe, I can do that in a way that works for them and works for me. And what if we did that all the time? What if instead of going, no, that's not true, what if instead we said, I give to you what I want you to give to me. So how do I know what you want? How can I be the person that can conceive of your greatest good? I think that's what we're about, really. And when we trust the universe, here's a quote from Ernest Holmes, when we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy and prosperous and well. No matter what our emotional storm or our situation may be, there is always something hidden, something in the inner being that's never been violated. We may stumble and fall, but there is an internal voice forever whispering, or in some of our cases, shouting in our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest that forever sings and sings and says, wake up. When we learn to trust the universe, that means we want to start expecting the highest good for everyone is possible. So I invite you to think about what is your highest spiritual truth right now. I want you to take a moment right now. And we're going to move to the inner work here in just a moment. And I'm going to ask you to take this highest spiritual truth and how could it be outpictured? What is the image of it? What would it look like when the world lives in peace? Or when everyone has all the resources they need to live a prosperous life, or your kids can go to school without $45,000 of student debt? What is your highest spiritual truth, and how does it apply in your life? And there's a little spiritual practice I want to give you for your week's homework. To take with you this week this idea of the golden rule, to be willing to practice it, here's a little tool, very easy. Whenever you hear yourself arguing for limitation or fear or hell in the way it's been, put it in your left hand. Put your hand out in front of you and see it. And instead of judging yourself, you go, oh, heck, there you are again. I thought I'd sent you packing. But there I am again, judging. There I am again, feeling small. That is not the truth of me. The highest spiritual truth of me, and I put that in my right hand, the highest spiritual truth of me is that love is all there is. There's only love. And everything else that's happening is just a tiny amount of love, or a medium amount of love, or a whole lot of love. But if something is awful, it's love in its minuscule form, seeking to be revealed through our ability to see it as love. Imagine that the healing the planet and healing ourselves are the same thing. That we do it with love, or whatever word you use for your highest spiritual truth. So here you have a choice. And whenever we're honest enough to see choices, you know, if you stretch a rubber band, it wants to break or resolve. So you decide, more fear or more truth. And practice this week. Nobody will know what you're doing, but you'll be transforming the energy all around you. Because in fact, there's only love. And love is a much higher vibration than any of the stuff that hangs out in this hand. But this hand is part of the wholeness, because when we see it, we can deal with it. And when we're hiding it, we can't. So out of the closet, into the light, and let this truth heal us. That's our work. So let's do the inner work. So I just imagine and invite you to do along with me. Imagine the world that works. Bring into your consciousness, into your eyes, your mind's eye, your heart. Feel your heart beating a little faster right now as you connect with this idea of something so magnificent. Just feel the energy and the move right now. You feel it. It's like we uplift the world when we uplift ourselves. And this idea comes through, and this is us allowing the love of God, which is the grace of God, through love to us. And so we're opening to this grace of God, this love of God right now, into this idea, this vision of possibility. And we know that there is enough of it, and we are enough for it, and it is ours to do, because it's what's happening. And so I know that right now, it's time. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. And so join me, do that. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love love, and feel this, love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, thinking I have lost my way, it's not true. I simply go inside and follow my mind. That's when I hear Spirit say, there is only love. That's true. There is only love. And let it heal you now. Love that heals now. Love that sets us free. There is only love.